So if you want to like get 1000 SR, gain 1000 SR with a 55% win rate, you actually need to grind 400 games in order to gain 1000 SR with a 55% win rate. So this is why they say like climbing the ladder is a grind, and people feel like you're stuck in an elo hell and you like can't really climb even though you feel like you're playing quite well. So it's perfectly normal. That's because of the math behind it. Okay, so welcome to another video. So in this video, we'll be reviewing SIlenceRain, which is support. So she's playing the bronze SR level. So to preface this, SIlenceRain, if you're watching this, since we communicated that you have a more budget computer right now, so it's running on a pretty low frames per second. I think you mentioned that you average about 20 frames per second. So I sort of understand why your replay and your movement seems a bit like console like. That means it has this like, I mean, it's probably normal to you, but it seems not as smooth to other players like me who have been playing on good computers. Because for context, I'm actually playing my Overwatch on 144 frames per second, and my graphics card can actually make it go higher. So I can like the maximum I can hit is like 200 frames per second. So I'm definitely have a better computer, and I have much smoother experience. So this is why I'm not really used to seeing the stuttering, which is why I wanted to clarify with you on the settings. So I've tried a few quick play games where I lowered my frames to the lowest frame, which is like 30 frames per second, and I tried playing them. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more challenging than playing at a high FPS. So this is why when playing first-person shooters, if you have a very good computer to give you a high frames per second, you get an advantage because everything seems to move clearer. So the enemy movement seems more predictable. It seems very smooth to you, and it's easier to aim, and it's also easier to predict where enemies will go. So I tried the 30 frames per second. Not that it's not playable, it's definitely playable. So, but it takes some getting used to for me. But once I got used to it, yes, I can still sort of kind of understand where my teammates and where my enemies are going. So I'm gonna put the frame rate out of the way. I'll try my best to review you based on how you can play Moira better, or in this case, the general support class better. Okay. So first up, you have so first thing you want to look at support is actually you look at your comps. So you have a Lucio and you have a Moira. So basically, you as a Moira, you'll be the main healer. Generally, Lucio in this case isn't fully responsible for healing the team. He is more responsible for speeding up the team, getting the team to objectives, and getting them into the fight faster and getting them out of the fight faster. So you have to do the majority of the healing. Okay, and you have a Reaper, Orisa, and Sigma, which are shield tanks, very tanky, but not very mobile. As well as a Reaper as well, not very mobile, not very speedy heroes, which is why probably your teammate chose the Lucio, which is a good choice. Okay. Okay. First up. Okay, let me just back up before you switch away. Okay. So first up, right before the fight starts, I want to establish what would be a good position for your Moira to be in. Because Moira has a pretty short range for her healing. I mean, unlike Anna, who has very long range, and your range is technically shorter than a Mercy, you might want to stay quite close to your tanks, like right behind your tanks, but not exactly up the ass, but maybe like around this distance. So staying by around this distance, right behind your tanks, in my opinion, will be the sort of like a good position because you can constantly heal them once they get damaged. At the same time, you can most probably damage your opponents. Your right click, which is the one that you can suck, the purple beam. The purple beam does damage your opponents as well as gives health to you. You probably know that. And it has I feel it has a slightly longer range than your healing. So you can technically do healing and damage like alternate between them. Okay, I don't know why you turned around. Maybe you just touched the mouse, but probably didn't mean to turn around. It's okay. Okay, so first up is on using Fate. So Fate is a very precious skill. It has a decent cooldown. Once you use it, has a 6-second cooldown. But still, because it's such a precious skill that you want to hold it up and use it when it has a decent impact, such as getting you out of situations where you will probably die, or either that or trying repositioning yourself, because you can move very quickly, repositioning yourself like to save a teammate when they are almost gonna die. So technically, that use there wasn't really useful because it doesn't really made a big impact in the fight. So you could have saved the Fate. Also didn't know why you turned around here because your tank was actually on the other side. Or the I think I saw your Orisa here. Yeah. So basically, what I would be doing would be I will be facing my Orisa, and if my Orisa is backing up, I'll be backing up along with her and healing her as we back up. Okay. Something that I noticed that healing orbs actually don't provide outcharge, but healing orbs are very good as a burst heal. So in this case, I like the way they use it because you felt that the Orisa was going to die, so you use a healing orb at the same time using your left click to burst heal your Orisa up. And here you should have stayed healing the Orisa. Like there wasn't a need to like go out of vision of the Orisa. Just stay on the Orisa and just spam your left click healing to try and keep her alive. And you should have been. I mean, I would have been healing the soldier because I mean, turning around here doesn't really help much because since I'm not a DPS, and the more as a healer, as a support hero, the more I can heal my team, the more I can keep my team alive, the more value I bring to the team. Okay, so I guess you realize that lost a point, and you should be okay. You should be trying to heal the Sigma. So if your Sigma isn't in a low critical health, personally I will keep the yellow healing orb in reserve. Most of the time I would prefer to use the purple damage orb instead, because the purple damage orb I think gives you a little bit of outcharge when you damage enemies. So the more outcharge that you gain, the faster you can get your coalescence, and also more impact you can create the fight with your ultimate. So generally, if the Sigma there wasn't like in a very critical low health condition, I would just use my left click and I can heal him up. Okay. Fading here, yeah, I didn't really understand this fade as well because I guess you were trying to get to the Reaper, but the Reaper didn't really need heals. And as a main healer, your priority actually will be healing the tanks. So if you have flankers like Reapers, Tracers, or like a Soldier 76 who goes like very far off or flank, the most you can do if they are low health is just throw a yellow orb at them. And at the same time, you don't want to like fade to heal the DPS, but you leave your tanks to die. So you just want to stay behind your tanks and keep healing them. Okay. So this is where it's time to do damage. So for Moira's is a bit of a controversial character because you have the balance between doing damage and healing your team. So what I personally I feel is that you should I would generally try to keep my fingers on the right click, which is the damage beam, because the damage beam I can just hold down to it and it doesn't cost any resource, whereby the left healing beam, if I hold down to it, I will be using up my heal gauge. So I want to keep my heal gauge as topped up as possible, and because the damage beam tops up my heal gauge, I want to be trying to damage as much as possible. So whenever my team is not taking damage, is not low on health, you want to be doing damage as much as you can. Right, so you're trying your best to do damage here. Okay, so it's a little bit of a risky play. You almost ran into the Reinhardt there. Okay. So you're getting a little bit distracted by the D.Va because the D.Va was trying to shoot you down. So I understand your turnaround. But basically, what I would have yeah, probably I wouldn't have done. I would probably done the same thing, because I was thinking whether I could give my attention to the tanks, but then again, when I look around, yeah, because while you're damaging the D.Va, you're also healing yourself. So I think it's fine. Yeah, I think it's okay. Nothing I can say about that. Okay, so unlucky you couldn't get the signal. No way you could get a signal there, in my opinion, unless you fade. But if you faded in, you put yourself in danger. So too bad. Yep, so do damage as much as you can. The Reaper is a little bit far. The most you could do is just throw a yellow orb into the Reaper, but throwing a purple orb here to do damage to the Mercy is a good choice as well. Okay, so at this point, for KOTH maps, for King of the Hill maps, we call it KOTH, KOTH maps, generally speaking, like if you are low on manpower, let's say most of your team has died and you have no chance of winning the point, generally I would just want to back up because you want to stop the staggering, because the more you stagger, the lesser time you have to challenge the next fight. So probably I would have gotten out here. Yeah, now okay, but your teammates came back to support. But still, yeah, because once a team is here, you don't really have a case to back up because your team didn't call for a pullback, and I understand that in ranked, most people are not in voice comms. Yeah, so I understand that the commitment here. Yep. So you just have to stay, do the best that you can. Okay, so the Rhine did. That's good. So in this kind of situation where you find that you might be dying, it's okay to use Fate to back off, reposition yourself, because normally once you use Fate, your enemies usually lose track of you and they focus on somebody else. Okay, good damage there. So you, okay, not heal up your Orisa, that's good. Yep, doing damage, that's good, that's good. Okay, in terms of Moira's healing, right? Maybe I can check out the stats. I believe her healing has some kind of residual healing effect. Let me just check here, because there are certain players which I feel tap heals. That means you just tap the left click for a bit and then switch back to damage. Okay, let's take a look. Yep. So lingers to heal 65 over 4 seconds. So there's a little bit of lingering heal from the call it the yellow beam. So basically, if the teammate isn't very low, what I would suggest is you just tap a little bit of yellow beam. That means you just spray a little bit of yellow beam on them and let the lingering effect of your yellow beam heal their rest of the hit points up. Unless they are like in really low or they're right in the middle of a combat and they're almost gonna die, then you want to like continuously use your yellow beam on them. Because you also have to conserve your so-called your heal gauge. In this case, they call this a biotic energy. So you want to conserve your biotic energy because if you use up all of it, you can't heal your team in the later fights. So probably I would suggest you can just try tapping the left click to heal a little bit and then just switching back to damage so that you can conserve your heal ammo. Okay. So one thing you have to understand is that Moira's ultimate comes by pretty quickly. If you are healing most of your tanks standing right behind them, usually you get your coalescence pretty quick. And coalescence is a pretty strong ultimate because you do damage and you actually take in health for yourself to any enemies that you hit. At the same time, your beam also heals your team as well. But the disadvantage is that it's a very narrow beam and works in a straight direction. So ideally, what I would feel is that, for example, this angle will be best to use a coalescence if there are enemies in front of them. If there are no enemies and if they're not low, coalescence doesn't really have an impact. So ideally, certain situations which personally I would want to use coalescence is maybe like half of my team has somewhat low health and they're in the middle of a fight with an enemy. So that's where I want to use coalescence and beam around so I can heal them at the same time do damage to the enemy. Or maybe at best, like certain points, like for example, if the enemy is all rushing in from here and your team is positioned here, so the whole enemy team is rushing in, trying to engage on your team, and you're right behind your team here, you can use coalescence, whereby you start damaging the enemy and you're also preemptively healing your own team when they start to take damage. So it's a pretty scary ultimate to face as a enemy team when you're all grouped up, when you're trying to fight, but the enemy Moira uses coalescence against you. So these are situations where you want to just try to see whether it happens often and to take it as triggers for you to try and use coalescence at those timings. Okay, nice. You ducked behind the shield. So you saw the Reinhardt gonna shatter, and you ducked behind the shield to get to be protected from the shatter. That's a very good move. Yeah. So you're spamming trying to heal the Reaper. You did the best that you could. Okay. So I'll probably use Fate here. Yeah. So that was a situation which I would have used Fate, but when the Diva Bomb came down, your whole team would have been wiped anyway, so it's alright. But those situations where, for example, you see yourself that you're gonna die, so that would be a good time to use Fate, which is the left shift.
I must reflect upon this.
Okay. So yep, you can use Fate to get out of point. That's good. Okay. So the thing is, sometimes I will look for a situation where I want to use my coalescence to start the fight. The thing with King of the Hill maps is that the defenders have a very big advantage, and retaking the point takes a lot of effort. So since it takes a lot of effort, sometimes it's good to try to commit your ultimates to try and spur your team to give your team an advantage so that you can try to get the point back. So in this case, if once you are behind your team and the team pushes in, you can try using coalescence to start the fight. Even though your team hasn't like really taken a lot of damage yet, but it can actually help, gives your team more courage to push in and maybe a better chance to win the fight. Okay, so this position is good, staying behind the team and healing them as they take damage. And yeah, so this repositioning doesn't make sense because ideally you want to be behind the tanks. Okay, you should damage, yep, and heal. So you should spray a little bit. So what you can do is try to like either throw a healing orb to the Reaper that is a bit far, or maybe try and reach him with a little bit of a yellow beam and alternate between the yellow beam and the purple beam to do damage to the enemy, at the same time trying to do healing to the Reaper. Okay, you saw that the Anna was low, so trying to focus her down, which is okay. Okay, so another thing which I noticed about your... Okay, I don't know whether I was recording that, so let me stop the recording first. Okay, so I want to record this small part of the video to illustrate probably maybe you can want to tweak your mouse settings, because I noticed that it seemed to turn a little bit slowly in the in-game settings. So this is probably has to do with your sensitivity as well as your mouse as well. Because I don't really know which what kind of mice you're using, but probably it's not like a high level gaming grade mice. That means the dots DPI settings. That means the laser at the bottom, which is here. The laser sensors probably isn't very high quality and it doesn't cover a lot of screen in little movements. So I did notice that your in-game sensitivity was pretty high, about 50 something. But even though it's 50 something, I feel that sometimes when you're moving on screen, it seems a little bit slow. So what you can do to try and calibrate this is this. I don't know how big of a mouse mat you have, but because I'm using a very big mouse mat, it's like a desk mat, so it covers my whole desk. So the area which I can move my mouse is from here, the end of my keyboard, to here, the end of the board. So for you, it may be much smaller. Maybe you're only moving your mouse in a limited area. What you can do is that in game, that means if you move your mouse from the leftmost of your mouse pad to the rightmost of your mouse pad, if your hero turns around for 360 degrees, that is a decent setting. And you want to try to calibrate your sensitivity so that that means the biggest movement of your mouse mat from the left edge to the right edge turns your hero exactly 360 degrees. And you have to play around with that kind of sensitivity for a while. But once you get used to it, it's a good sensitivity because it gives you a very quick response time. Like you just need to move for like half of your mouse mat to make a 180 turn. So you can respond to like a lot of in-game events a lot faster. Okay, so I feel like your current sensitivity settings might be a little bit low, so you might want to try and calibrate that. Okay, so here I'll demonstrate what I mean by turning the hero 360 degrees. So let's say I'm facing this training board here, and I bring my mouse to the leftmost edge. If I turn my mouse to the most edge here, okay, so this is 360. So this is not the most, like, not the edge of my movement, but it's something that I am comfortable with. So that means if I flick around here, I flick around here, it turns my hero 360 degrees. So moving here to the edge of my arm length and moving back turns my hero 360 degrees. So then it's something you can practice, which is to flick to the right or flick to the left. So let's say I want to do just a flick. So this is like 360. Yeah. Okay, so this exceeded, it overshot 360. So you can just practice your aim or your movement, warm up your movement with sort of like turning your hero 360. So just try and flick to the across your mouse pad and try to like get your hero to do an exact 360. So I'm not doing it perfectly as well. Yeah, this is not bad. Right. So this is like a good warm up routine to warm up your hands to get used to that sensitivity that you're playing. Okay, so this will be, once you're getting used to this, it's very easy to do a 180. Like I can switch my aim, like this is 180 degrees. So from here to here, I can switch it around pretty quickly because it only takes like half the range of movement needed for my arm instead of a full 360, which I do here. So if I do a full range of movement like this, I do a 360, I just need to do half of it to turn around quickly. So this gives you what I feel will be faster reaction time in game. Okay, so I want to skip ahead to the second map. Okay, so something I actually like to do is just to throw a damage orb in the enemy direction to gain a little bit of outcharge. Okay, you missed out. Yeah, I mean it's okay. It's around in the range, so you do a little bit of damage and you gain a little bit of outcharge straight away. Okay, so like I said, you tend to use your yellow beam a little bit too much. So since in that kind of situation where your teammates are just a little bit damaged, just tap a little bit on your left click, spray a little bit of yellow beam, and just let them heal over time. Okay, your Orisa is low. Okay, nice, you realize it, so you're healing her. Good damage. So, right, try to do damage whenever you can. Good, that's good. And you saw that soldier was low, so you heal up the soldier. Okay, so normally what I would recommend for Moira to take, this is a good position for Moira to take on the defense. I do understand sometimes maybe you want to go on a flank or surround the enemy from the back to try and do even more damage and help your team win the fight. It's perfectly fine. Like, I mean, you can just play whichever positions that you like. But if let's say if you guys are on the defense, this is the kind of position that I would prefer to take as a Moira because I can heal my teammates easily, and whoever enemy is in front of the Orisa shield, or sorry, in front of the Sigma shield here, I can easily damage them and gain back, charge my heal gauge as well.
Exceeding expected combat values. Recording performance for future analysis.
Okay, so generally I believe your mechanics on Moira are pretty good, so I don't have an issue with that. Just that the aim, you might want to just check your sensitivity, see maybe you can bring it maybe higher, tweak it higher or lower. So like I mentioned, you calibrate it to the distance, the maximum distance across your mouse pad that your hero can make a 360 degrees turn. Yep, so pretty good defensive positioning. So hug this center drum, which provides a lot of cover. At the same time, you were staying behind your research shields. So everything is good. basically I want to see how you try to use your ult. Okay, so you have your ult here, so I just want to see how you're going to use your ult. Okay, you're pretty low. Okay, so when you're low, you probably know that you can use your yellow orb to heal yourself, which you did as well. So sometimes I would like to just use the yellow orb to bounce on the floor, because while it bounces on the floor, it reflects off the floor and travel upwards. So when I want to heal myself, it seems to be I don't know, it seems to make it stay near me longer so that I can heal more of my hit points with that yellow orb that's bouncing off the floor. Alright, good. So just throw damage whenever you can. Right, good, good. So this is what I mean. Just tap on the left heal, tap a little bit, and just heal him a little bit. Let the lingering heal over time. Okay, oh, yeah, good fate here. Okay, your use of ult was good as well. Because since we're really low, you were in danger of dying. So using the ult, you want to give your value to the team, help the team hold the point. At the same time, you heal up your own health when you do damage. And good that you focus down the Rhine. Oh, that was a good dodge, because at that point when you're using your coalescence, you can't fade. So immediately you went to your Risa shield to get cover, which is good. Yep, so at that point, if you saw that your Orisa was low health, there was just I mean, you have to make a choice whether to heal the Orisa, like at this point when your Orisa is pretty low health. So you have to make a choice whether to like spam healing on the Orisa or to continue doing damage to the Echo. Most of the time, to win a team fight, I would prefer to heal the Orisa, but personally, I leave it up to you. I mean, you can decide which choice would give you more value, like whether securing the kill on the Echo would be more valuable, or whether healing your Orisa will be more valuable. So these are sort of like I will always try to think when I want to make a decision on a certain hero at a certain point of time, which one would probably make more impact to which one would probably help the team win the map more. Okay, so maybe you weren't familiar with the Rhine charge animation, or maybe it could have been that means due to your frame rate, the the moment that you realized that the Rhine was charging you, it was too late for you to react. So both could be reasons. So I will understand that, and definitely sometimes it's good to just get familiar with the Rhine charge animation. So when the Rhine is charging, typically he will do this. His shoulders will go down, like he'll do a ducking motion. So that's probably the start of his charge animation. So you can actually push the left shift just to do a preemptive fade whenever you see the Rhine have this crouching shoulder dropping animation.
When faced with a setback, we must challenge our assumptions.
Okay, good. So, I mean, unfortunate that it bounced off the wall, but you're trying to heal a team with a range heal up, which is good. So, yeah, trying to do damage, that's good. So, this is a good win. Good win on this map. Okay. So, basically, I think, okay, let me just speed through the last one. You mentioned that it's a loss. I remember it's a loss as well, but I forgot, like, the reasons for losing. Maybe you just speed through and take a look. Okay, so generally you're trying to position behind your team to heal them, which is good, and doing damage as much as you can. So, I mean, in this instance, maybe you went a little bit forward too much because your team is still behind you, and even though were they purple? No, I think the Anna actually threw a defensive nade. Right, so you realize you're slightly out of position, you try to fade back to your team. So yeah, probably just went a little bit too far forward, and it was at that point if you had stayed behind your tanks, maybe you would have sustained through the Rhine that came forward. But it's hard to say. Oh yeah, I remember watching this. So okay, it was at this point which I didn't understand that why you were going through the flank. Like maybe you forgot the spawn position of your team, and you thought that was the other side was the spawn position. So I didn't really understand why you went over there. Okay, so good play from them. Nothing much you could have done. Yep, try to throw a heal up. And so you realize that you can't do much. And yeah, unfortunate that Hanzo. Okay, he almost caught you. Okay, nice escape there. Yeah. So this is another unfortunate positioning whereby you were trying to heal, you were trying to be helpful to heal your Pharah, but it made you become out of position to heal your tanks because you couldn't position behind them to heal. Oh, so you tried to drop down and heal them. Nice, but unfortunate, too late. Okay, so you did the best that you can there. Okay, fade. Good, good. So whenever you see impending danger, just fade away. The usage of this out a little bit desperate because your tanks are not alive, but I sort of understand why you might want to do it because you feel that it's been a struggle to try and win the point. Yep, but it's that coalescence there didn't make too much impact because your tanks were not in front of you. So yeah. Okay, good damage here. Good, good, good. Right, nice ult. Right, nice ult. So always train those purple ops whenever you can. That's good. Oh, did you get shatter? Oh, you blocked you dodged the shatter. That's nice. Nice dodge on the shatter. Okay, so healing a team wherever can. You guys have a Lucio defensive beat. This one is a bit hopeful. You wanted to like try to get a kill on the Echo, but actually it's pretty dangerous because Echo has a surprising amount of burst damage. So in a 1v1 fight, actually Echo should win most of the time if the Echo lands her shots. So by using your Fate, committing forward to try and get a snipe on the Echo, it's quite scary, but it paid off for you. I mean, personally, I wouldn't have done it. I would have stayed back. But okay, good. You managed to kill the Echo. That's great. Eh. Okay. So it's kind of unfortunate, but we want to take a look at. Okay. So we want to take a look at whether our decision back then to go for the Echo cost us the team fight. Okay, so let's what is it here? Yeah, so this was before. Okay, let's go a bit further back. Okay, so this is the point where we went for the Echo. So let's analyze this. Let's slow it down. Okay. So yeah, technically you're not wrong because there was nothing damaging your team, so your team didn't need heals. So you saw that as an opportunity to go forward and get a confirmation kill on the Echo, which is good. So your decision is good. Then you're getting back to the team. So by the time the enemy tanks came out of the doorway, you were already positioned behind your team. Yeah. Okay, okay. So I see. So you went a little bit on the flank though, which is personally I would have preferred like staying here right behind my right behind my two tanks, so that when they take damage I can heal them. At the same time, I can stay behind them. For example, I can do damage to the Rhine once he drops his shield here. So this is a good range to just stay around my team so that I can spray healing at the same time do damage. So going to the flank here, it gives me sort of like a limited angle, I guess, because I'm blocked by this shield, and even if I do flank here to do damage on the Rhine, I can't easily access my team because the shield is gonna block me from here. Is this shield an enemy? Oh, so it's a friendly shield. Yeah, so you're gonna heal through the shield, but yeah, the angle could have been better. I guess the angle could have been better. So in this part, I liked your positioning. You were right in the middle of your team. I think you were trying to damage the Lucio. Or is that an anti-nade? Oh my god, the anti-nade. Okay. And the shatter is gonna land, right? Wait. Did they have shatter? No. Oh wait, did I go too far before? Okay. Yeah, so nothing much could have done there. It was a really good anti-nade from the enemy Ana. And the enemy was smart as well. They actually flanked around and surrounded their team. Okay, so this is the part where... Oh, okay, this was a little bit... I jumped too far forward. Hey, no. Okay, so let's take a look again. Did the shatter really happen? No. Because we lost our tanks. Is it already 99 there? Okay, at this point... Alright, because they were at 89%. So once they flipped, yeah, they probably win the point because they only needed one fight. So it was a good anti-nade from the enemy Ana, and nothing much you could have done because you cannot heal through an anti-nade. Okay, so once they flipped it, yeah, basically the fight is lost because there's no way your tanks could get back in time with only 10% remaining. So too bad. So nothing much you could have done there. Even if you had perfect positioning behind here, you probably still couldn't kill the Ana. Either you wouldn't see the Ana coming in, or even if you wanted to go on the Ana 1v1, you probably couldn't have killed the Ana in time before the anti-nade landed. So nothing much you could have done. So overall, okay. So overall, your Moira mechanics seem really decent to me. That means you do understand most of the simple mechanics of Moira. Sometimes your reaction speed seems a bit lower, but I understand coming from the limited computer hardware that you have to play with. So in terms of Moira, actually, there isn't really much room for you to improve. Basically, how you can improve is probably your out usage sometimes. But actually, our usage is still pretty decent. So there's nothing really much I can criticize on. Generally, if you find yourself still stuck in a certain rank, for example, bronze, it could be just the fact that you haven't played enough games. So for this, maybe I just want to to illustrate to you how much gameplay you actually need to do before you rank up. Because I feel with your Moira gameplay, generally you shouldn't be losing too many games because your Moira is actually pretty decent. Okay, so let's do an assumption. One win from a comp game is about 25 SR gain. Okay, because Blizzard has modified the algorithm a little bit for any ranks as diamond as below. So sometimes when you do exceptionally well on your hero, when you get a win, you actually earn more than 25 SR. And when you do exceptionally well on that hero, when you lose a game, you actually sometimes lose less than 25 SR. So the system is designed to help players in the lower SR to climb, because if they actually do better on the hero but yet they still suffer a loss, they lose less but they gain more if they win. Okay, but we're going to just assume equal SR win and won and loss for every game. So one loss for com game will be equals to minus 25 SR, right? So that means let's say let's take out our calculator here. All right. So let's assume if we have a 60% win rate, that means out of 10 games we win 6, we lose 4. Okay. So how much SR do we gain? How much SR gain? Because so let's take the 4 wins that we have here to even out the 4 wins that we lose. 4 wins that we have here to even out our 4 losses. So we have extra 2 wins. So this extra 2 wins would gain us 50 SR. So it's 50 SR gain for 10 com games. That is assuming a 60% win rate. So if, let's say I want to climb 500 SR, I would need to play, I mean, you already know the math, but 500, that means basically, yeah, I mean, we don't need a calculator here. So if I want to gain 500 SR, I need to play 100 games, because it's 10 times, 10 times of 10 games to gain that 10 times of my 50 SR, right? So 500 SR, I need 100 games. So if you want to climb 1000 SR, you need to play 200 competitive games with a 60% win rate. So if your win rate is higher, yes, you climbed faster. But if your win rate is lower, let's say if I'm 55% win rate. So 55 means out of 100 games, we win 55, we lose 45, right? 55 plus 45 equals to 100. Okay, so that means how much SR do we gain? So how much SR gain for 100 games? So we have additional 10 wins, because you take 55 minus 45, you win additional 10 games. So 10 games at 25 SR each will be 250 SR gained for 100 games. So if you want to get 1000 SR, gain 1000 SR with a 55% win rate, you actually need to grind 400 games in order to gain 1000 SR with a 55% win rate. So this is why they say climbing the ladder is a grind, and people feel like you're stuck in an elo hell and you can't really climb even though you feel like you're playing quite well. So it's perfectly normal. That's because of the math behind it. So in order to really gain a huge amount let's say hundreds to 1000 SR, you have to play an amazing amount of games in a single season. So this is typically not realistic if you're a student, or especially if you're a working adult. It's really not realistic to expect you to play so many games. So you gotta be realistic with how much your rank currently. So if even though you're playing well, you might not be getting out of bronze because you just simply do not have enough time to play that many amount of competitive games. Okay, so that's my simple review. So overall, your Moira mechanics are pretty good, and just try to play around with the settings so that you can have a faster turn speed, so they can turn your screen faster, maybe up the sensitivity a bit, calibrate it by how big your mouse pad is. Straight sweeping movement across your mousepad should turn your hero 360 degrees. So it's not a must to go for this kind of sensitivity, but I feel like generally it should help you to have a faster response time. Okay, so that's about it. Hope you find this video useful.